of your ideal audience member, your ideal client, you know, that avatar that I've got you thinking about? Have you got it clear in your head, and more to the point, coming off your tongue, the words that your audience wants to hear? Those words that are keen on how they describe things, which, spoiler alert, may not be the way that you would describe them. Okay, I promised you a few examples. I've had a couple of interesting things. You see, the thing is with language, particularly if we speak English as our first language, we pretty much think that the English that I speak is the same as the English that you speak, and the English-speaking world speaks the same language. No, it isn't. Some of you will have heard this tale before. My first experience of networking here in Australia, bear in mind I am a native British English speaker, somebody complimented me on my pants. I went bright red, woof, embarrassed. Checked my flies. Just a bit, well, actually I didn't. I excused myself to go to the ladies to check my flies, because in the UK, pants are what we wear next to our skin. In other words, I thought my flies were undone. Well, there was nothing untoward down there. Everything was fine. So I sort of composed myself, went back into the room. Well, there was somebody who had watched this scenario from a distance, knew that I was newly off the boat, as it were, newly immigrated, and sidled up to me and whispered in my ear, you know, they were talking about your trousers, don't you? Well, I went bright red again, because why did I not know that pants meant trousers? Now, had I been in America, I would have joined the dots, because I know that in America, pants means trousers. I did not know that about Australia. And it turns out there are a number of other words. Now, yes, I knew about thongs. For those of you who are not Australian, thongs in Australia are flip-flops, jandals. I don't know what the American equivalent would be. Anyway, thong to me in the UK meant a G-string, aka cheese wire. There are different words within English depending on which part of the world you're from. One thing to hold in your mind on that one, because in this global village that we live in, that's something to be aware of. Because what it is, it's drawn into fine focus for me, the fact that when we say a word, what I have in my mind, my little mind picture, may be totally different to the mind picture you have from that same word. Let me give you another example. Badass. Now, a number of you will be very happy with that phrase, that word, badass. It means, yeah, go get them. It has that sense of grasping, not grasping, that's the wrong word. It's got that sense of momentum. It's got that sense of, yes, I'm making a difference. I'm powering forward. Except that for me, coming from my upbringing, badass was something awful. It was unpleasant. It was not very nice at all. I won't go into the ins and outs of it, but it was something that I shied away from. So when somebody accused me of being a badass, I got offended. Now, there they are, using that word as a compliment, and I'm offended. Oh, can you see how there's the opportunity for mismatch? Same word, different mind pictures. So clarifying exactly what is meant by a particular word is always a good move on face-to-face. But think about it from your audience's perspective. You need to be clear about the mind picture you have from that one word, from that concept, and make sure that it matches your ideal client. Now, obviously, we all have our own filters that we go through. I mean, hello, my badass, for instance. Not every Brit would have had the same feeling about that word, I'm pretty certain. However, my point on this one is, what is the phrasing? What are the words that your ideal audience member is using to describe their pain point, where they're at now, the bit they don't like being in, the situation that's really causing them anxiety, angst, it's a pain in the arse, however they describe it in their words. It may not be your vernacular, but it's how they will describe it. So for me, if my ideal audience member is from the States or from Canada, I have to shift my language consciously. I certainly have to shift my spelling if I'm writing things down, because there's a classic S and Z from where I come from. And speak the language of the person you're talking to. Now, the reason this is so important is because whenever we have a conversation with somebody, particularly if it's going to end up in a sales relationship, a conversation where I have something that I can help you with, you don't want to be sold to, but you want to buy. But the point is, how I describe your situation, if I can describe your situation back to you using your words, the first of the 4 trust questions has been answered. Are they like me? Well, hey, they speak my language. And that rapport building is very important. Whether it be the actual verbal words, whether it be the intonation, the tonal patterns in your voice. If you're talking to a lot of Aussies, then it may be worth investing in that Bondi lift, if that's where you're at with them, to get them on the same level as you. And then you can drop in that downward tone as a contrast and brings them to that point of, this is the end. This is the important bit, the gravitas, call to action. So we've got the language, we've got the intonation patterns. Because if you appear to be like them, your audience, the ones that you know you can help, and you are inviting them to listen a little bit more to what you've got to say, the first thing you need to do is know where they're at. How are they describing their pain point? How are they describing where they want to be? And can you describe it in their words? Again, you're speaking their language. Your credibility has just gone through the roof because you're speaking their language. They understand that you understand them. Get it? They can trust you. You've got past that first trust question. So that's one of the reasons it's incredibly important to know who is your target audience. And then from there, what are the words that they use? What are those key phrases? And understanding the mental picture that goes behind it. Learn to use the extra bits, the descriptor words, as well as that single word concept. When I worked as a speechie many years ago, we had clients who used to have what I called single word phrases. So there was one particular gentleman who used to go, here, which was come here. But as far as he was concerned, it was one single word. But under there was a whole raft of meaning for him. And that's what I'm inviting you to consider. With your ideal audience, the words that you're using with them, what is the meaning underneath those surface words? Dig into those. How do they describe them? Get that conversation going with them. Because when you are in a position to invite them along for your solution, the solution only works if you know their words, where they are, where they want to be, and those challenges that are getting in the way of going from here to here. Now, I'm banging on about this, I know. Good British phrase. But it is so important. Can you see why it's so important? Because if you can speak audience, that one individual that you're speaking to, very clearly, and you have explained what you mean by that single concept, the assumptions of understanding are not there, because that's a dangerous place to be in. We can make assumptions that our audience know exactly what I mean because, well, I'm using the same word. Pants, trousers. Don't make assumptions. Let's have clarity in what you're saying. What are the words your ideal audience is using to describe their pain, where they want to be, and the challenges that are getting in the way? This is where some market research is invaluable. Surveys are great. And when you have conversations with people who would be your ideal client, write the words down verbatim, the exact words. Maybe even do a question and answer. Ask a little bit deeper. Can I clarify? What do you mean by that? Tell me more. That phrase, tell me more, is so important. These are all words then that you have in your armory that you can speak when you are on stage and your ideal audience is going, she gets me. He's got me. You've got my attention. Okay, what's next? What's the call to action? How can I get to work with you? How can I be on the other end? How can you make a difference for me? Because if from the audience's perspective, it's always what's in it for me, remember? Speak to the audience in their words. That's what I've got for you this week. Because you want to make a difference, right? Knowing who you're speaking to and how they speak, how they think, how they language their issues is crucial. We will come on a little bit more about this another week, but this is why I want you to consider very carefully how you make a difference in the lives of your specific people. And can you language that in a way that's going to make sense to them? For now, we're done. Bye from me.